community is so important when you're going through something. It's instead of hiding yourself away, it's getting out there, learning that other people have the same response to things, triggers, that kind of thing, and knowing that you're not alone in that.
One with Lewis.
Yeah, where he lost so much weight.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy. Really is an incredible guy. But yeah. So Jen, I was on episode 19 of your podcast, and I hadn't ever started a podcast. And now, what episode are you on now?
I just launched 51.
Wow.
Yeah, I had my 50th the other day and did a solo episode and, just celebrated 50.
So cool. I did the same. Did you always do solo episodes, or did you?
No, I have a couple, but yeah, usually it's interviewing.
Yeah, do you feel quite daunting to do it on your own?
I am used to it because I do the Moody talks with, every week with emotions and all that kind of thing. So I'm used to looking at a camera and just talking. So it was kind of easy. Yeah.
I love that. So my first episode I did on my own, I was like, oh my God, I'm like 21, 21st episode. I was like, people kept saying, if you get to 21, you're successful and you're going to keep going, momentum. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got to 21 and did one on my own. And I'm the person that can stand up in front of a big crowd, but sitting on my own in a room felt really daunting. I love that. Jen, let's just go straight in. Tell me all about the Moody.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to go into a little background of why I created Moody? Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I obviously I know the story, but and have followed you for a little while now. But yeah, I think I just think it's awesome. So yeah, you tell us a story.
Sure. So I am a single mom. I live with complex PTSD and depression from childhood trauma. And so I lived with my two older siblings, my mother, my father, who was my abuser. And for years, we went through all types of abuse with our abuser until one day my middle sibling had decided to tell a trusted adult about what was happening. And with that, a lot of people, I think that once an abuser is taken from the home, that's it. That's the end. The kids are all set. They're going to be okay. But there's a lot of different mini traumas or actually bigger traumas that can happen afterwards. And for me, it was going to court. The court system kind of chewed us up and spit us out. I was only 14. And by the end of all of it, I was already in college by the end of putting my abuser in prison. And I just wanted to push it away. I just wanted my trauma to go away and wanted to live a, quote, normal life. And so, yeah, I pushed it back, pushed it throughout my life. It showed up in many different ways, but out of fear, out of timing, I just always wanted to not look back at it. And then one day, so the background on that, I had owned a boutique and I had to close it and go into bankruptcy. And it felt like an entire identity was gone from me. I had lost being that person out in the community and helping others because I helped women fit into jeans. So I would fit them specifically in jeans because, as you know, jeans can be very hard to fit for women.
Do you know what I love? I just spotted this, Jen, and I wanna catch you on it. What did you get out of that? Because that beaming smile of like, I help women get into jeans was just like, what did that give you?
It was incredible because women are afraid of jeans many times, especially if they're a bit heavier, because the way that women's jeans are created is not like men's. We get a number put on ours, not, the waist and the length. And every company makes them different sizes. Like there's no one specific size for a woman. She could try on from Levi's, she could try on a 12 and fit in a 12. She could try on 7 for All Mankind and it's like a 16. So there's no regulation on how they fit. And this can be really difficult for women because it makes them feel like they are too big when that's not really the case. It's just that the pants are too small.
You've
And
just literally blown my mind because I'm like, I'm a 36, 32 regular.
mhm.
I buy my daughter certain sizes in ages. You know, when she was a little bit younger, I don't know if you felt this as when you were younger, that if you bought something and it was age 14 and you were age 12, you're like, I'm older, I'm bigger. But that's not the same feeling when you're a grown up and I never thought, wow, Jen, that's opened my mind.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible, and the look on women's faces when they do find the jeans that fit them best and make them feel the most comfortable is so good. It's so good to see it, and it helps me because I'm that person who loves to give to people, and I was giving them the gift of being able to wear jeans and be comfortable in them. So it was important to me. And unfortunately, I bought the shop when the internet was really starting to sell online. And I'm not saying that they didn't before, but this was when people started really selling. And my boutique brands were starting to sell online. So people would come to my shop and try on clothes, and then they'd take a picture of the size and the type of jean, and then they'd go online and buy them because they were like 20% off, free shipping, free returns. And I couldn't give that kind of discount. So it just, in the end, I ended up just closing the shop because it was too difficult. And I was a single mom dealing with uh, a boy who was having a lot of mental health difficulties and was in and out of hospitals. And it was so hard for me to be able to keep the shop open. So I had to close it, and it was devastating to me.
Wow. Do you know what? I find that something that's even, I mean, in this world now, you and I have never met in real life,
Mhm.
but but we are in a world now where we are losing we're losing connection with like real people. And I know you said you listened to one of my previous episodes with Lewis, but he and I met in person first and then continued a friendship online. And you're like, wow, do you remember when we used to just like go to a shop, buy stuff, and I remember going, oh, I need to take that back to change a size, not like I've got to go and put it in the Amazon box. Now it's so disconnected, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, I think that it's done a disservice to humanity as a whole.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. It's something that you think about. You know, now, I mean, my wife used to work in retail, and she would have people come in on on a Friday, try something on, bring it back Saturday, and she'd be like, "This smells like perfume." Because
Mhm.
I'm sure you've had that as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. But obviously now people just buy stuff online and then send it back, and yeah, it's wow, wow. So what happened then once you shut your shop then? Where did you
Well,
go from there?
I really just had a crisis, honestly, a crisis of identity and a crisis of what am I going to do next? And that is when my brain just broke. I wouldn't say broke. It told me that it was time to look back on the trauma and to start the healing journey that I needed to be on.
Wow. Was there a point where with that kind of like you like obviously you said with you had the stuff going on with your son as well. Um, do you think that there having a child and being a parent that sometimes was there an element of it for you that you were prioritizing him and not yourself in those kind of times?
Always,
Yeah.
always. But also the PTSD way of life is to always give to others and that you're not worthy of giving to yourself. So it's a big response in PTSD. And that's because we were shamed by the things that happened to us. We felt that shame. So others were definitely more important to me than myself.
It's a big shift in mindset, even to go, oh, actually, I need to look after number one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you do? What did you do then?
So I've been years and years in therapy, out of therapy. I'd been inpatient a few times before at hospital, and I decided I needed to put together a mental health team. I got my individual therapist. It took a while, but this is very interesting. This is something I like to talk about. My friend who is a social worker introduced me to my therapist, and she's much younger than me. And I pulled the judgment of this young girl couldn't help an old woman like me kind of mentality, right?
Hmm.
And I went in and she's so cool. Like the first time I met her, she has tats all over her arms and she's just a very, very cool person. And I realized that she understood PTSD in a different way from older therapists. She'd been taught the modalities that we have today of therapy. For example, internal family systems. I had never heard of that before, but it's a way to look at yourself and the parts of you that help you to survive. And part of that's like little Jen, like your child Jen. And how does she feel in this moment? She also knew about a modality called EMDR that is a kind of like physical way of changing neurons in your brain, like changing the paths in your head, in your brain. And I realized that she is an excellent therapist for me. And so I've been with her for 7 years now, and I can't imagine not being with her. She's incredible. And I also s- went inpatient to a hospital. I'm lucky to be living near one of the premier mental health hospitals in the country called Hospital. And I went inpatient because I wanted to be sure that my meds were right. I'd been taking a certain amount of, antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds, and I wanted to make sure I was taking what I needed. And so also in patient, you start to do like group therapy. And when I was a kid, I used to get forced into group therapy and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And the kids that were there too, they hated it. We just wanted to go outside and smoke cigarettes and, chill out and talk about our favorite bands. What are we doing
Yeah.
here talking
Which
about?
is probably better therapy in that particular age group, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just chilling
Mm.
out, not having someone make us talk about something. But as an adult, group therapy can be so healing because it's community. And
Mm.
community is so important, especially for mental health, because there's such a stigma out there. And it was in group therapy that I came up with Moody. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I was talking about my complex PTSD and frustrated with the symptoms. I said, I wish I had a monster that I could just rip apart and throw across the room, drown in water, light on fire, that kind of thing. And they were like, yeah, you should have that. So I went home and I made a ragtag monster plush doll, but I made the heads, arm, and legs of velcro so I could rip them apart. And that first doll, PTSD Pete, actually
Ooh,
really helped.
what a great name as well, PTSD.
Yes, he was my monster, so I named him after the frustrations that I had.
Yeah, amazing. When you were in that therapy session, I'd love to kind of like roll back a little bit on this because I think you've just hit the nail on the head there as well with a couple of things. One was the fact that when you were saying about the lady who was younger than you, I've been there. I've spoken to business coaches over the years, or I've spoken with people, and I'm like, I'm not getting them well with them. They're like half my age. What do they bloody know? I've been in business 18 years. Actually, they come with fresh modalities, fresh ideas, fresh. And I think that's something that's really key. I think particularly nowadays is to kind of, be open to working with younger people. And I really, I really love that from both perspectives, because obviously, as an older guy with someone looking up to me, maybe I'd like to be able to influence them in a positive manner. And likewise, I think I should be able to be okay with receiving stuff like that. But when you said about community, I think that's one thing for me it has come up a lot on these episodes. And I think having people around you, you might not have a single question in that group therapy. You might just sit there and just listen. But I know there's a bit of a Me Too culture going on at the moment, but I think just sitting there and listening to someone who goes, this happened to me as well, and you're like, oh my God, I don't feel so alone in this. I know it's not just happened to me or whatever, and I think that can work in so many different ways when you go into a kind of communal kind of group, I suppose.
Absolutely. I don't have people around me who have experienced complex PTSD and depression. And it's like I don't have someone who understands me to talk to. But the best thing about putting together this team was that your individual therapist is a third party. They are not a part of your life. They're not like your
Yeah.
friend or family, and they're not going to tell their cousin.
And they're not someone who is you feel that might be judging you, right?
Yes, exactly. They understand the situation you're in. So I think it's really important to remember that community is so important when you're going through something. It's instead of hiding yourself away, it's getting out there, learning that other people have the same response to things, triggers, that kind of thing, and knowing that you're not alone in that.
I love that. Yeah, knowing you're not alone is something that I think a lot of people genuinely feel that in that moment, it's why me? It's only happened to me. And there are, obviously, I appreciate your situation. Like you were saying, it was an abusive. Was it abusive parent? You said, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got an abusive parent, but I mean, I grew up with my dad, who, as you know, was an alcoholic, and I had a post that I put on social media that floods of people started messaging me saying my dad was an alcoholic too. And I was like, wow, like this little girl on the TV that I saw, she said, whose dad had died, I just thought my dad was normal. And that's the thing, it's breaking that barrier of normality, isn't it?
It is. And I thought that my situation was normal as well. I thought that that's just the way that a parent treats their children.
I'm sorry you had to experience that, because it must be something that's even as an adult probably is hard to comprehend, especially when you have a child as well. But I love that. I'm a big believer in negatives and positives, and I truly believe that from something so horrific, you are now creating something so positive. I wish you never had to create it, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I think is a pretty, it's kind of the yin and yang kind of feels a bit like, yeah. So with Moody, how you said about Moody talks and so forth. Tell me more about Moody, because for me, I'm so, I remember as a kid, like loving toys, loving teddies and stuff like that. And my daughter has a worry monster. Have you seen the worry monster?
No, I don't think we have them over here.
Okay, so worry monster has I can't remember if it's in his mouth or in it's his belly, but you write your worries in, you scrumple them up and you put them into the worry monster, and I think it's his mouth, zip it up, and the worry monster munches them all up and they disappear. It's a really good opportunity, I think, for children to actually tell their parents what's happening, because mum and dad can go, I mean, I don't want to say like the Tooth Fairy, because I don't want to spoil anything, but mum and dad can go in and open up the monster, and it's given their child an outlet for expression. And I think that's something that, yeah. So tell me more about Moody.
Yes.
What else does Moody do?
So this is Moody.
So cool.
So Moody is that buddy to help when you have those frustrations that you need to let out. Because a lot of children, I used to call my sons little cavemen. because they were given all of these emotions and they had no idea what to do with them and how to deal with them. And it's up to us as parents to help them through that. But also, it's up to us parents to go through our own ways of helping ourselves. I like to call it an emotions toolbox. So, a coping skills toolbox. And so, when a child is frustrated and is ready to just start ripping the room apart, like my oldest son used to do, uh, Moody is there to be a safe space for them to do that and a safe outlet to do it because they're plush. They are meant to be ripped apart. That's what they're there for. And the best part about Moody is putting them back together again because like you said, it's a communication tool for parents. So you can sit down with your child or the child that's with you if you're an adult taking care of a child and ask, what happened? What can we do next time to better cope with those big feelings you're having?
And it can be a conversation around like, oh, wow, Moody's arm's come off. What happened to Moody's arm? Like, is Moody okay? Like, it doesn't have to be about the child. It can be in a third person, but like, well, Moody was feeling sad because of,
Hmm?
and I don't know actually if we've had this conversation, but did I ever tell you the story about when my daughter over here, we've got a phone system for children called Childline. Did I ever tell
No,
you
I
that?
don't think so.
So in my, and I know I've told this as a story on the podcast, so sorry if someone's heard it before, but in my planner, I have an emotions at the top, which is there are five. I call them five smiley faces, but I shouldn't because they're five emotion faces. And I stole it, the idea from a book that I found. My daughter wanted to have a planner like Daddy because she could see Mummy and Daddy doing this. She wants to. I'd shown her what we do, and every day I used to write what my emotions were, and I'd write happy, sad. And anyway, so she had this book and it had three emotions, and it had happy, sad, and then there was one in the middle that looked just a bit not sure. And she kept on going for the one in the middle, not sure. So I said, what's that? Medium. Okay, cool. So what does medium mean to you? Is that medium happy or medium sad? And just by that one question, is that medium happy or is that medium sad? We would go to the next conversation. It was actually, it's medium happy. I actually had a really good day at work, at school, Daddy, and it was this happened. Or it was medium sad. Anyway, on one particular day, she said it's medium sad. I said, oh, okay. What made you feel medium sad? Is that really sad or just medium sad? And she said, well, actually, it was really, really sad. And it turned out that she felt sad because of our dog had passed away. Our dog had passed away maybe 2 years before. But a lot of it with her, particularly with going through adoption and through foster home, and then, having the kind of attachment scenario that goes a lot with that. When we lost our dog, she was like, it's another loss. It's another separation. And at school, they were talking about if children have been through, for example, something like yourself or, something that's made you feel sad. There is this facility and there's this place online where you can pick up the phone. It's called Childline. And they were taught all about it. And it's essentially where they ring and they speak to an operator on the phone who, it's a safe place for them to tell them that something really hasn't gone well. And like I think the phrase you called it was a trusted parent, or was it a trusted adult?
A trusted
Yeah.
adult, yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's a completely neutral person. And with coaching and a lot of the kind of therapeutic stuff I've done with her over the years, because I'm able to use my skills that I use with my clients to help regulate her emotions. And, it's amazing. And there's a couple of different things that we've done before that she'll, if she's feeling in a certain way, she'll be like, oh, can we do the color thing again? Because she knows how to re-regulate. So we had this conversation and the conversation went, I want to call Childline. Now, anyone in the UK will say, oh my God, like your child says you want to be, what, are they being sexually abused? What, because that's the instant, but actually part of what Childline also do is they actually help children with going through grief, whether it's a family member or a pet or a loved one or anything like that. And from that conversation, I was able to sit with her, make a phone call, and listened to her. It was it for a dad. It was a bit. I felt a bit judged in the first because she didn't want to talk, and they was like, "Hello, is anyone there?" And I said, "Oh, I've got my daughter here." And when they said, "Oh, hello," and they said her name, and they said, "Are you safe?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm safe. I'm with my daddy." And it was an element where I was really appreciating it because I was like, they've made her feel safe. But once she spoke to them, it gave her an outlet. But that all started from free emotions and just by asking questions of, you know, how was your day? You feel so happy, sad, medium, whatever it was. So this is why I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but that's why I love your concept with Moody, because I feel like it really opens up a doorway for children and adults to be actually almost kind of unpack stuff.
Yeah, and I love that story, Andy. That's a beautiful story. Your daughter truly trusts you, truly knows that she's safe with you.
And do you know what the funny thing is as well is, although we all do, because he was the best dog ever, but we have been through times where things have gone and they've triggered her. But because she knows that she's made that call, and it was really interesting because they asked about 3 or 4 questions that I'd already asked her in that couple of days beforehand. And there was part of me that's like, oh, I felt quite proud as a dad, thinking, well, because it's hard to sometimes be a dad and separate yourself from how you might coach someone, because there's that emotional attachment, which, you try not to get too attached in a client scenario. But at the same time, now she comes home from school like, how's your day? Or whatever I say, because I always break them up and I try and make it. I mean, one of my favorite questions is, what's the worst thing that happened at school today? Because that's always a funny one. Or what made you laugh the most? But she will then come in and go, cried at school today about Sprocket. And sometimes we know it's not about Sprocket, it's about something else, but that's another level. So I feel like that emotion thing is amazing to talk about.
Yes.
When you created Moody then, um, did you only have Moody in mind for kids, or
No, for myself.
so it was just for
Just
yourself?
for myself. And when I realized that Pete could help me and was helping me, I wanted to share them with the world.
So what else do you do with Moody then? Is there anything else that you kind of do Moody? Because I know you said about Moody Talks.
Yes. So Moody Talks, I started because I was waiting for Moody. I was waiting for prototypes, that kind of thing. So I use DBT as a part of my healing journey. And DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. And it was created by a woman named Marsha Linehan for people with PTSD and borderline personality disorder, because they both have similar kind of symptoms. And it works specifically with emotions. It's all about emotions. And it's about all emotions being valid, including the difficult ones, especially anger, fear, sadness, shame. They're all valid and they are appropriate in certain situations. When they are not inappropriate, they tend to get toxic. So it's learning how to use coping skills based on the emotions you're feeling, the intensity of the emotion, and ways that you can work through that to better understand what you're going through.
Do you think films like Inside Out have really kind of helped open the doorway for children and adults even? I mean, I watched it in awe in that film, because I just thought, wow, if somebody somewhere just told me about these feelings, what they were when I was a kid, I'd almost understand a bit more.
Yeah, that's actually based off of internal family systems.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess the people who created this is what my therapist told me. The people who created it, they had understood this modality and wanted to use it as a way to help kids to better understand themselves.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So what's next for you and Moody then? Is there anything on the horizon coming up? Obviously, I know you've got your podcast, and my mind's just gone completely blank because I've just gone like, it's if when you're
When not yet becomes right now.
that's it. Do you know
Yes.
what? It was the wrong way around in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, it's completely scrambled.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
along with Moody Talks, I'm actually phasing out of Moody Talks, and I'm going into creating videos for kids, specifically using DBT and using those skills for them, because the Moody Talks are more based on adults. And it was kind of my way of saying, okay, adults, learn to do this for yourself so you can help your children with it. I also do Moody Story Time. And that's me and Moody reading books about emotions and about things that happen to children. There's a book called A Terrible Thing Happened. And that goes through, you've seen something or something happened, and, you get angry, you get sad, that kind of thing. But there are a lot of different books in there. I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot of books in there. You can go into Moody Storytime and just let them play for kids.
Where do we find them?
They are all on my YouTube channel,
Yep.
and it's My Moody Monster. That's the channel name.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
And
Jen, thank you so much. I honestly, I feel that like what you do is just, even as an adult, I'm like, I just wish there was something like this when I was younger,
yeah, absolutely. I do too.
Yeah, I bet. Jen, how else can people connect with you and find out more about, well, you and, well, I say you and Moody, because I feel like,
Yes, Moody. You can find Moody on mymoodymonster.com. And that has everything on there. Moody comes with a backpack and a coloring book to talk about feelings. So it comes in a little package. You can find us on social medias, all under My Moody Monster. And of course, my podcast that you mentioned. So When Not Yet Becomes Right Now is about that healing journey that I was talking about that I kept holding off. And you can find that at When Not Yet Becomes Right Now, all on all the big podcast platforms. I'm there.
and one thing we should point out is you can actually buy Moody, right?
Yes, please buy
Yeah.
Moody. Because I love seeing
Amazing.
all of the kids when they get them. Parents tend to video it for me and get to see the kids open it and use him and get a lot out of him.
Jen, thank you so much. It's
Yes.
been a pleasure catching up with you again. But also thank you for what you do, because I say this on a lot of episodes recently, that the work that you do is affecting so many people, and the knock-on effect of that is going to be helping so many other people for years to come. So I think thank you, not just from me, but from the people in the future who don't even know about you yet.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy. It was a pleasure being on the show.
And that wraps up today's episode of the Coffee, Chaos and Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure you like and subscribe. It helps other listeners find the show. Also, go and check out the show notes to learn more about my incredible guests. Until next time, make sure you chase your dreams without limitations.